So why did you want to become a doula?
So I became a doula because I saw a need and because I feel called to be a doula. I love pregnancy, I love childbirth, I love moms and how God put it all together and created such a unique thing that there's nothing that can duplicate pregnancy and childbirth. And I get to be a part of that. But also the advocacy is a huge part, huge reason why I am a doula. It's needed in the birth world.
Cool. So what does it look like to advocate for a woman who's pregnant or wants to have a baby? What does that look like?
So the question is, what is advocacy, I guess, as a birth doula? So as a birth doula, it's advocating for my client's wishes. So whether the mama wants to have a home birth or hospital birth or a birth center birth, she and her husband know typically what they want. If they want unmedicated, if they want vaccines for the child, if they want the golden hour, whatever their wishes are, as an advocate, I can help them fight for those things. I can even speak up for them when they cannot speak. For instance, the woman in labor is exhausted at the end of her pregnancy or end of her labor, and I can, knowing her wishes and knowing her for her entire pregnancy, she has built a trust with me and I with her, and then I can speak for her, knowing those desires for her, and keep as best as I can staff doing things that aren't things that she desired, like giving medications or starting an IV or even Pitocin.
So there's a lot of things for her. So this is a two-part question. Why does she need somebody to advocate for her? How come I thought the hospitals or our current medical system takes care of the patient, especially those who are having babies, bringing babies in the world? Doesn't make sense why you need to advocate for a woman. It seems like the whole medical system would do it for you. And then is it just advocating for the woman, or who else do you advocate for?
Okay, so advocating in the hospital is necessary because in the medical world, the way that birth is approached, labor is approached, is often in a sense that mom needs assistance, that birth isn't physiological, or another word I like to use is organic. Birth is organic. It's you don't have to touch it to make it happen. It happens all on its own, the way God made it, and when it's left untouched, or back to the word physiological as they use it, it can be beneficial for mom and baby. But in the medical world, for some reason, there's this thought process, there's this teaching indoctrination that mom needs assistance. Mom needs medication. She can't have a baby without Pitocin. Mom needs induction. And then things happen like fear-mongering, even scheduling. If you notice, around the holidays, there's more inductions because people don't want to be at the hospital on call having births or attending births during Christmas or Easter or Thanksgiving because they want to be free. But these things aren't necessary. So as a birth worker, as a doula, as a Christian, I know, and as a mom of 6 children myself, I can say that birth is physiological, it's natural, untouched. It can be beautiful for mom and baby. The second part, advocacy for, is not just mom, it's also for baby, because baby, this is brand new for baby. Mom is Scenario, mom has baby, she's been laboring, she's tired. Very, very seldom do I see a new mom not tired after giving birth. Labor is a marathon. And so because mom's tired, dad's trying to, be there for mom. I'm there also for baby to say, hey, baby might need some extra support, or baby is not, mom and dad do not want this shot for baby. Let's leave the cord attached as long as possible so baby's blood can come out of the placenta into the baby. It's the baby's blood. So all these things are advocacy, just a little bit of it. There's so many things to advocate for baby. But yeah, advocacy is mom and baby.
So that sounds good. And you mentioned the dad. So, well, it seems like dad should be the one advocating. So why doesn't that occur? Or do you advocate for the dad too? How's that happen?
So advocacy, dads are wonderful. Dads, their instinct is to protect their wife and their baby, but dads don't know their rights often. Dads don't know the rights of the mom and the baby. This isn't their profession typically, so they don't know what rights they have. So often at the hospital, they'll say, well, our policy is, and when we hear policy, it's like going into the grocery store. Well, the policy is I can't steal anything, right? But that's actually law. Where policy in a hospital is not law. It's their policy that they've made up. It's not illegal for you to say no. It's not illegal for you to actually leave the hospital during birth or before birth, during labor. It's so finding out what those rules are. That's where I come in to play with dad, is helping dad to be able to speak up. Oftentimes I'm just there encouraging dad, reminding dad of, hey, these were your wife's wishes. This is, this was the birth plan. This is what it looks like. And dad can speak up. But sometimes dads are afraid to speak up because they don't know. They're afraid of they're going to hurt their wife because the fear mongering, and, they hear from the doctor or the OB or whoever it is, the person with the title may come across as all-knowing, but the reality is when they are informed and they have an understanding that policy is not law, and this isn't life or death, this isn't an emergency, we don't need to do this, then they can better make decisions for their wife. So yes, I advocate for dads too, and I highly encourage throughout pregnancy for dads to be at the prenatals and dads to have an understanding, so dads can speak up for their wife and dads can speak up for their baby, and when they can, then I'm there.
Wow. It's just, I don't know much about all the medical system, but it seems like the medical system, like you're saying, but it seems like the medical system should be there to protect the mother and the child in this whole pregnancy. The way you've explained it, it seems like the medical system's made it about production and their time, and maybe even some type of money that's tagged to each procedures along the way. Do you find that to be true?
Yeah, sadly, it seems that the medical world, money talks. But I never want to judge a nurse or a doctor or a midwife, an OB, because I believe that their intention is well, for the most part. I think most doctors and medical staff, I believe they went into it with the mindset they wanted to help. And maybe it gets lost along the way, or maybe they're misinformed themselves. I have met many medical staff that have no idea that there's another way to do things. They assume that this is the best way and this is really the only way, and they don't like doulas because we stand in the way. But when they actually stand back and observe, they see that so many of these things aren't necessary. A mom can go into a hospital and have a completely physiological, untouched, organic, non-medicated birth and be untouched and have a baby all on her own. She could even catch her own baby. And to them, most of them have no concept of that. They think it's insane. Where I have witnessed women catch their own baby, where we just observe. So I can't speak up for everybody that in the medical world, but it seems like there's some kind of trail of money along the way and a protection for themselves, and moms get lost in the way.
So unfortunate, because it sounds like, you know, there's a time and a place for the medical field, and it's good and the intent is good, but it often seems that there's probably legalities involved which contradict, or not contradict, but cause the medical profession to respond a certain way that might not be such a positive for the pregnant woman. Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. It's come a long way. In the beginning with the medical world, there is a place for the medical world for sure. I never want my clients to feel unsafe or afraid to go to the hospital, because there's definitely a time and a place when a baby needs to be born at the hospital, when a mom needs to be at the hospital for birth. But the medical world has taken so much control away from moms in birth and turned it into things that aren't necessary. So it is very unfortunate, because most of my clients are frightened to go to the hospital even before they talk to me, because of past experiences, because their rights were taken away. There was no consent. They never asked. They told or they did. And consent is important in every aspect of your life. We expect it everywhere else we go, but in the hospital we think, well, they know better than us. But consent is always necessary.